Call to order, the public meeting of the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board is now called to order on this day, December 13th, 2022, already 3:58 PM.
You have three.
I see.
I have 401.
Okay, sorry, you're right. City time, 4:02 PM.
Got 358 also.
Your board members are present here at the City Hall, along with members of the public. With the assistance of the Communications Department and the Information Technology Department, this meeting is live streamed on the Ethics Board's website, and we're recording it for future reference. There is a delay with online communications, and we should all be patient. As always, we thank those members of the City of Tallahassee for their support. We don't have a flag again. Do we have one next door?
That's a good question.
Should I get it? I'll be back.
Well,
I started to tell you, it's 3:58. Yeah, now we will start at 4.
we will suspend the meeting until he returns. Ladies and gentlemen, we are suspending the meeting until he returns with the flag.
Already started off getting a flag.
Oh, I have no idea where the flags are.
We're on. We're live.
Seriously stealing them.
I think I hear it. Yeah. Make a note for me, Lucy, for our next meeting, to make sure we have a flag.
Please rise for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Floyd, please do roll call.
Carlos Ray,
Present.
Brian Smith,
Walking in the door.
Ernie Payne, I thought I heard his speak. Rui Barr, Kristen Costa, Robin Blank, Patrick Kelly. Okay. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd. Did everyone receive the minutes for November 15th, 2022 meeting? Any comments or edits to the minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as they are.
Move to accept.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. I will now review the public comments on agenda items.
We don't,
As far,
we don't have any.
public comments, okay. So moving on to the agenda itself. Did everybody review the agenda items and documents? Okay. Moving on to, since we have no comments, I'll move on to the Ethics Office report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. From the page, and it is as it reads, during this period, we conducted training for new employees, including this morning. Advertised to fill the vacancy for the administrative specialist position, responded to a request for an advisory opinion, attended the Council on Government Ethics Laws Conference in Montreal, Canada, and prepared materials for the December board meeting. We maintain our administrative duties concerning expenditures, weekly meetings with the board chair and attorney, and responded to ethics complaints. And if you'll note in your package, you don't see a budget. I apologize, that was left out. So we'll make sure we have it, or we'll send you a copy of it.
Which was solvent. We're good, we're solvent.
We are very solid, very solid.
That's good to know, all right.
We have been good stewards. A monthly issue report, we have 2 issues. A caller called on 10-9, called the hotline, and said that she feels that someone is stalking her. She says she contacted FSU and FDLE. I emailed the police, one of the chiefs of Tallahassee Police Department with the information caller provided. On the second one, the caller left a message alleging abuse and neglect by a state agency I spoke with her and gave her contact information for the Florida Commission on Ethics, since this was state-related and not city-related. And with those two, I recommend the board close.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions on the monthly report? There are motion to close as recommended. Mr. Payne moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Barr seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Passes.
Okay.
Mr. Floyd, general updates.
General update. First of all, as you all know, this will be Attorney Brian Smith's last board meeting. I didn't bring any handkerchiefs, so no. This will be his last meeting. The Florida University has appointed Attorney Rita Calhoun, who is Chief Compliance and Ethics Officer, to take his place. And I thank you for getting that taken care of. I didn't have to do any work.
I saw that. It was great.
I contacted them and they already knew about it. So, I asked Brian to do that for us and he did. So that was timely. We still have it pending with FSU, as Robin is leaving, and the Public Defender's Office as, Ruby is leaving. So they can't leave until I have a replacement. So I say. Technically, they can stay, so they can't go anywhere till I have a replacement. That'll help them with it. You know, see that look Robin just gave me?
For her to commute. I would do it.
Fortunately, we don't have another meeting until February, so that'll give us time to get replacements in. So that works out. On December 4th through the 7th, I attended a conference in Montreal called the Council on Government Ethics Laws. There were over 400 participants from Canada, the US, Africa, and Australia. The focus on the conference is enforcement and compliance. This was very good for me. I wish they had this conference when I first started. Of course, they couldn't because of COVID. But it was good to see people in a position like mine on the federal level, state level, and the local level, to see the different models. Some had ethics and compliance, and with the equivalent of the ethics office and the IG's office being in the same place. So they talk quite a bit about audits. I would have to give kudos, and Coalition isn't here, so this is a good time to do it. Give kudos to the Coalition for the job they did with the referendum, because there are some things that we have that a lot of people don't, and including the ability to make recommendations for changes to the city ordinance. So that's one thing I noticed, when in some of the sessions they asked. I will probably, if I don't do a session, I'll be involved in a session on training. I went to a session on training. First, I went to another session, but the guy was speaking French and I couldn't bring up the interpreter thing. So I gave up and went into training. And it was probably good I did. I actually met a couple of people that Amy recommended. She recommended I go to one of their sessions. It was a great session. I met with both of them and talked with one of them extensively. And they told me they would get me more involved with sessions and probably helping some of the organizations with training. There's quite a few of them they're not even on first base. So they were asking me a lot of questions. So, that was fun. I appreciated being able to be helpful with that. It's great for networking. There was a phrase and I forgot what it is now, but I told the young lady who gave it in her seminar that I was going to copyright it since she didn't and steal it from there. But it basically said that in this case, the ethics board is not here to say no, it's here to help you, KNOW, no.
Oh.
And I thought that was very good, and I think that represents well, where we're trying to go. The next session will be in Kansas City, Missouri. I do think it would be good if John is able and willing, you're willing to let him go next year. It would be a good experience for both of us. Even though I will say it was cheaper for me to fly to Canada than it would for me to fly down south. I screwed up airport. And Lucy's last day is February 3rd, 2022. She's retiring and threatening to get on horses and ride horseback. I hope she changes her mind. We'll have to check on her. 2023, excuse me, thank you. The city is advertising her position, and so far there are 91 applicants. So I should be able to come up with the decent replacement to replace her. 4 of those applicants are from within the city, and the rest of them are.
So 4 people know you and they actually want to.
Yeah, a couple of them work down the hall from me.
Oh, wow. That's a good sign.
So, and I wasn't soliciting it, so that was good. I did solicit it this morning when I gave a new employee introduction, and I emphasized that they could possibly work remotely. Of course, they all burst out laughing, so they got it. But that was good. And so that's my general update, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Sure.
And the next few minutes, saying goodbyes, seeing a lot of change happen in this board. First is to acknowledge that Lucy Atkins will be retiring in February. Since we will not be having a meeting in January, this is Lucy's last meeting. So there's a last opportunity to say thank you for the 7 years she served the board. At this time, I want to recognize Mr. Richard Herring, former chair of this board, who had the opportunity to work with Lucy a lot of that time. And I just want to open the floor to him. Say any comments he might want to say at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. I've known Lucy since she started here. She was the first person the board hired as opposed to inherited, let me say. And it was, although it was really the executive director of the boards, their decision, I think it was our luck to have her come on. One of the problems that this board has is because of public meeting requirements, we all got to be friendly, but we never got to be family, which I think if it was in a private setting, we would have. And so Lucy, I probably spent more time with than anybody else, just coming up before meetings and getting a chance to talk to her, standing, leaning against the door in her office. What you may not know about Lucy is she spent decades as a paralegal with different law firms, some well-known law firms in this state. And so she brought a bunch of talent and expertise that this board probably doesn't recognize that she brought. So you all know the kinds of things that she does in terms of keeping things straight and herding cats. Not to call you up cats, but you were, I was. The other thing you may not know, though, or you may not see, is she's also been the bookkeeper and accountant for the board. So that little sheet that you get that shows how much has been spent in every category, she not only has managed that, but made sure that all that spending has been in the right category. So a little teeny tiny bit of what Ms. Blank does at the university, making sure that the things that the board does follow the city's policies and procedures, and all of that is done not only accurately, but correctly and within the right administrative buckets. The biggest thing about Lucy that we never got a chance to talk about, and you mentioned, Dwight, is that she's a horsewoman. And so while she is going to be, I think, a great loss to the board, the people who are really losing, or the entities that are really losing in all of this, are her horses. Because with her at home, they're going to have to start working for a living. So I would just like to say from myself, a sincere thank you for all the times that you kept me straight and answered questions and were always there and always friendly and always just on board with whatever we needed to get done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Herring. Those kind words. John, I've been told to hand it over to you. Mr. Floyd is not here.
Yes. We had ethics board meeting without White's phone going off. So But I did tell him I did want to speak. Lucy's been so enjoyable working with you. You probably do recall, wasn't too long ago that the ethics board was commonly under fire quite a bit. I was under fire, our former ethics officer was under fire, and Lucy was always the one that kept her head down and kept the trains running on time and kept us moving forward. And it was tough, all the negative press that we were getting at the time, and we were able to turn it around. And a lot of that's due to Lucy. I think we had a good new ethics officer come in, but I think the transition to bringing him up to speed, I think was due to having such a strong kind of core within the office, which was Lucy. So Lucy, really enjoyed working with you, and I don't ride horses, but hopefully I'll see you another time. So, all right.
Mr. Floyd, do we have a resolution?
Yes, and before I do that, I'll say a few things. I'm not gonna say too much because I still gotta work with it 2 more months and. No, it's, when I first got here, I won't say I was lost, but, I didn't have the opportunity to receive an introduction or training. I had to jump right into it. And I always say that the most important person in the office is not the one that's in charge, but that thinks they're in charge. It's the assistant who knows where all the bones are buried, where all the dollars are, and knows how things operate. It's the person that's really in charge. And I was able to get off to a good start and find some success, largely because number one, she's stubborn, so she doesn't mind telling me what's on her mind or when she disagrees, and that fit my mode of management because I don't like yes people, and she refused to be a yes person, so she was a perfect fit for me. You were perfect. I appreciate that. I appreciate all that you've done. You could have, after all the stuff that went on, you could have treated me different. You could have resented my coming, and you didn't. You welcomed me and did all that you could to help. And I appreciate that. I've heard the stories of how she's birthed horses, literally pulled them out from the horse's womb. How she's fallen on the ground off of horses, where she has to go looking for horses and cows. And for those of you who don't know, she drives from Cairo to over here. And when COVID hit, it was my concern to make sure that she stayed healthy. And so I immediately said, go home. And she was like, well, you're the boss, so if you say I have to go home, she wanted to go home. But she did, and because it's not, when I say you're a person first, it's not being phony. I mean, that's who I am. So I've always enjoyed the conversations, and we'll get to have a few more before you leave. I hope you enjoy your time away from work. I know it's a little scary making that transition, but once you do it, you're going to say to yourself, why did I take so long to do this? And just don't remember to say no, because a lot of times people, oh, you don't have anything to do. Can you do this? Can you do that? Remember these words, because.
But I don't want to.
So remember that. Mr. Chair, resolution. Whereas the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board was created by charter amendment on November 4, 2014 by a vote of 66.76% of the ballots cast by the elections of the City of Tallahassee. And whereas the aforementioned charter amendment inter alia provided for the adoption of municipal ethics code, defined the composition of the Independent Ethics Board, and established the processes by which the Independent Ethics Board shall be filled. And whereas the city charter also provides for the Independent Ethics Board to hire staff, including but not limited to an administrative assistant. And whereas the Independent Ethics Board and the Independent Ethics Officer hired Lucy H. Atkins on October 12, 2015, as its first and only administrative assistant. And whereas Lucy H. Atkins has served the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board with distinction, remaining as a constant since the creation of the Independent Ethics Board. And whereas Lucy H. Atkins provided consistency and vast knowledge of the subject matter of the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board over her 7-year tenure that allowed the management of the board to continue flawlessly and with great efficiency. And whereas Lucy H. Atkins brought to her position a plethora of professional experience and skills, including years working with law offices in Tallahassee that enabled the Independent Ethics Board to operate professionally and with integrity. And whereas Lucy H. Atkins' unwavering commitment, willingness, and ability to understand and respond to the concerns of the people of Tallahassee has made a substantial contribution to the betterment of the City of Tallahassee. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board thanks Lucy H. Atkins for her years of work for and dedication to the Independent Ethics Board and wishes her all the best in her well-deserved retirement and future endeavors. This requires a vote of the board to adopt.
Do I have a motion on the resolution? Ms. Costa moves, Mr. Smith seconds. I will open it now for comments on this vote. I'll start the comments. The fact that you're the first and only administrative assistant is testament to your service and dedication to this board. It provided a sense of stability. We went through the time I was here, a lot of changes. Changes chairs, change of ethics officers. We went through COVID. I came back. It was a lot of transition that took place, but you provided the stability for this board. And I thank you for your service. I wish you all the best. And don't be a stranger to us. And always look forward to your dishes for Christmas. Thank you so much for your time, your service.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Even enjoyed Dwight. Fun, so we got work to do, but we don't. It's not a drudgery. And I've enjoyed meeting all the board members and past board members and city attorneys and stuff that I've worked with over the years. And I look forward to you having a very good person after he schedules 91.
Interview.
I'm gonna try and be absent those days. But I hope I know he'll make a good decision on what he's got to work with. Thank you.
Any other comments? If there are no other comments, we'll have the vote.
I just want to thank you for being you. I think I was 2 terms, so it's that 6 years, I guess. It really rolled by, but you were so helpful and welcoming. When we had various transitions, you were that constant, that stability. And so I just want to thank you for the kind words you've had for me through the years. So thank you.
Yes, Ms. Bork.
Lucy. I'm what people call a tough old broad. Because I always say I don't have to be politically correct. But the oxymoron to it is that I'm a crier. And you put this little note in here. I just want you to know, back at you. I will miss you too. Thank you so much.
I was looking for my vote. There are no other comments. I will entertain a vote on the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you again. At this time, I would like to present to Lucy a mug. Make sure it's the right one. Your name on it, pass it along to her. And this top one's hers.
Yes.
Let's see, can you look at it, show it to her? Sure. A little stand. It's a nice little plate with your name on it and the time you served on this board from October 12th, 2015 to February 3rd, 2023. Thank you so much for your service. All right, pass it along. As I said, this is a time for change. And we have 3 board members who are leaving us. 2 are resigning from the board under normal circumstances, not because of anything we did. And 1 board member has served the maximum time allowed. First, the board members who are leaving that we will be recognizing is the attorney, Robin Blank. This time I will turn over to Mr. Floyd for comments and discussion.
You want me to, okay, so I'll go ahead and start, and I'll keep it brief because I know how Dwight will talk, so I'll too much time here. But
Wait till it's your turn.
yeah. So, but Robin, I know when you came in, I was like, she's gonna know more than we do. And you probably do. But it's a short time on the board, but we've enjoyed working with you. The times that we've worked outside this board, you've worked with Dwight, myself, one-on-one, been very helpful and brought a lot of insight to the job and really enjoyed working with you. So thank you so much and good luck. Okay.
And Robin, I say,
That's how it's done. That's a short.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he wrote these long things, by the way. Good job. When it's actually been almost 2 years, and I was excited when you joined the board. You proved to be, and it's not that I'm qualifying you, but you proved to be everything that I thought you would be and more. And you truly were independent in your thinking, have been, and I appreciate that. It's important that we have good board members. And I keep telling people, we have a good board. And, that's why I get a little nervous. We got to find 3 good people to replace 3 good people. And you're one of those people. I wish you well in your endeavor. I'll let you decide whether you tell where you're going. That dirty city over in the east. If that's what you want to go smell, that bad air and that polluted water and all that, then we wish you well. You want to leave this wonderful city. But no, I'm happy for you. And, I'm in 2 days, I'll be 67. So I'm getting old, depending on how you look at it. But your life is so much ahead of you. And every day, and this is what I tell my children, every day you build your resume and you build your portfolio. And I hope that you can take this with you. And this resolution that I'm about to read is a small thing, but it's an honest show of appreciation. Mr. Chairman, whereas the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board was created by charter amendment on November 4, 2014 by a vote of 66.76% of the ballots cast by the electors of the City of Tallahassee. And whereas the aforementioned charter amendment inter alia,
Yeah.
okay, provided for the adoption of a municipal ethics code, defined the composition of the ethics board, and established the processes by which the independent ethics board shall be filled. And whereas the city charter provides for the president of the Florida State University to appoint 1 member of the Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board. And whereas the Honorable John Thrasher, president of Florida State University, appointed Robin S. Blank, the Chief Compliance and Ethics Officer of Florida State University, to represent the university on the City of Tallahassee Ethics Board. And whereas Robin S. Blank holds a law degree from the Florida State University and previously served the university as an associate general counsel focusing on open government and student affairs. And whereas Robin Blank attended her first meeting as a member of the Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board on January 26, 2021, And whereas Robin Blank has served on the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board with distinction, utilizing her background in ethics to assist the board and staff of the Independent Ethics Board. And whereas Robin S. Blank's unwavering commitment, willingness, and ability to understand and respond to the concerns of the people of Tallahassee has made a substantial contribution to the betterment of the City of Tallahassee. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board thanks Robin S. Blank for her years of work for and dedication to the Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board and wishes her every success in that dirty town in her future endeavors.
Action the resolution. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the resolution as it is. Ms. Costa, Ms. Smith, Mr. Smith, seconds. And now we're open for comments. Ms. Blank, it's not quantity, it's quality. Your time here may have been short, but you made your impression on us. You took very time to volunteer and assist us any way you could, always helping Mr. Reed be a better lawyer. Helping us navigate you had great questions to help us navigate some of our changes to ordinances. You brought your skill set, your knowledge to this board, and I'm very appreciative as a chair that you served the time you did. I wish you all the best and good luck on the city you go to. Be nasty, right? It's a nice city in Jacksonville. Wish you good luck and thank you for your time and all the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Any other comments this time?
Yes, I'll come in.
Ms. Barr.
I want to say thank you for representing us here well. Greatly appreciated.
Chairman, thank you all so much. I am better at my job and I am a better candidate for this job that I'm going to because I had the opportunity to serve the city and to serve with you. So I am so grateful. And I brought you all a challenge coin because I don't think there's anyone who deserves a more recognition as a partner of mine than the members of this board and the staff who serve the committee. So thank you all so much. It has really been a pleasure. It was really, really hard to say yes to that job, in large part because it meant that I would move and I wouldn't be able to serve this board anymore. But it has been a privilege of a lifetime to serve. I know this board will do great things. And I understand that my job is to make sure that the next appointment is someone who will take it seriously, who's willing to do the work, and who will be a good board member for you and for the city. So I intend to pay that forward and do that. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. At this time, the resolution. Oh, you have a motion, have a vote. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. This time, I present a resolution. Any mug, please do not put Jacksonville water in here. Next, we have Ms. Ruby Barr. Mr. Herring, you are recognized at this time. Any comments you may have on this?
She didn't let me talk about you because we never served together. Although I will say she is proof positive that the appointing authorities do better every time. And if they do that much better after on the next appointment from FSU, you guys are going to have a halo. Ms. Barr, we served together for 2 years after the public defender appointed you. And in my ongoing theme of we got to be friendly but never family, some things about Ms. Barr. My recollection is that when she moved back to Tallahassee in the mid 2015, 2016, thereabouts, she was actually thinking about retirement. So she obviously way too young to retire, but thinking about, moving into retirement. She got here, and this is obviously a town full of young people who occasionally make mistakes, occasionally need legal representation. She saw that happen to a couple of people and realized that there was a real disconnect. And this is a town where people can lose their futures because of things that happened in their youth. And because of that, she founded the Southside Community Law Center, where we all know she devotes her time and energy and heart. She described it at the time as a divine vision because of the needs of people. It's a nonprofit, what you call low bono. So these are people who don't necessarily qualify for free legal services, but don't have the money to go to, as we all know, lawyers can charge a lot of money for what they do. But I think also she's what I saw of her on this board. She's a graduate of Nova Law, which is well known for producing people. They're the two outstanding things where they rank really well as a law school are churning out people who do really well in legal writing and trial advocacy. And I think that in the time that I served with you, I saw those things in you, saw what you brought to this board, and wish that we had had a chance to be more than friendly. So thank you for all you have done and for your service on this board. And I am genuinely sorry that we don't know each other better than we do.
Thank you.
This time, Mr. Floyd.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, me. So, I was actually gonna say a lot of what Richard said, so I don't know why he was recognized out of order, but I guess I'll just have to come up with something. But no, I had the opportunity to get to know Ruby before the board. We actually had a case together. She's a good lawyer. I deal with a lot of lawyers that are tough to deal with, and she was a good one to deal with. So when she came to the board, I said, that name sounds familiar. It was Ruby Seymour Bar when you're a lawyer. So I said, they must be related or something. So when you came, I was so excited that you're going to be on the board, and you've truly been a pleasure to work with. And I know you're doing such good work with the Southside Community Law Center. And I think as Richard pointed out, it goes to your desire to give back to the community and public service, which you've given to us for all this time. So thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you in the courtroom. We'll make sure they're good cases,
Yes.
not the nasty ones, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, and Ruby, when we talk about the board, and we talk about all y'all, when we talk about the board, what we say about you is that you don't say much, but when you say it, it's meaningful. And I think that's an excellent way for a person to be. Whether we're dealing with a citizen who is a little wayward and needs some firmness or direction, your firmness is kind. And with understanding, but you can be firm when you need to be firm. And I think we've seen that. So I appreciate, and we appreciate, and I will see you outside because I've seen you outside of here. So I'm sure I'll see you outside of here at some point in life. But here, as I said before, this is a good board. And, I really wanted to grab you by the leg and say you can't leave. I was discussing it with John and Carlos, how I was going to try to keep you here. And then I decided I needed to respect your desire to take a break. So reluctantly, I did as you asked, but it was reluctantly because it was my desire, it's my desire to keep all of you for as long as we can. So wish you well as you move on to other things. And as John said, you really are too young to retire. But blessings to you if you decide to do that. Mr. Chair, resolution. Whereas the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board was created by charter amendment on November 4, 2014 by a vote of 66.76% of the ballots cast by the electors of the City of Tallahassee. And whereas the aforementioned charter amendment inter alia provided for the adoption of a municipal ethics code, defined the composition of the Independent Ethics Board, and established the process by which the Independent Ethics Board shall be filled. And whereas the city charter provides for the public defender for the Second Judicial Circuit of Florida to appoint one member of the Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board, and Whereas Andy Thomas Esquire, public defender for the Second Judicial Circuit of Florida, appointed Ruby Barr, the executive director of the Southside Community Law Center, to represent the public defender on the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board. And whereas Ruby Barr has a long record of public service, whereas the executive director of the nonprofit Southside Community Law Enforcement Law Center, she provides low bono legal services to impoverished, disenfranchised, and other individuals who do not qualify for free assistance and may not have the financial ability to afford an attorney at standard rates. Whereas Ruby Barr holds a law degree from Nova University and a bachelor's degree in political science from Howard University. And whereas Ruby Barr attended her first meeting as a member of the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board on July 16, 2019. And whereas Ruby Barr has served on the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board with distinction, playing an active role in drafting a new municipal ethics code, which was subsequently adopted by the Tallahassee City Commission. And whereas Ruby Barr's unwavering commitment, willingness, and ability to understand and respond to the concerns of the people of Tallahassee has made a substantial contribution to the betterment of the City of Tallahassee. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board thanks Ruby Barr for her years of work for and dedication to the Independent Ethics Board and wishes her every success, reluctantly, in her future endeavors. Mr. Chair.
Do I have a motion to accept the resolution? Mr. Payne moves, Mr. Smith seconds. They said you don't say much, but when you do say it, it means much. And I thank you for the time on this board. You brought a lot of compassion to the board. I many times don't show it. I have certain duties, but you always, when I deal with the public, you always brought that human touch to the board. The more I've, to be honest, this is the first time I heard about the Southside Legal Center. That's amazing. That you took time, now you're a public servant in that aspect, but you took time to serve on this board. I wish you all the best. I always look forward to seeing you, your smile. It's been great to serve with you, and I hope you enjoy, again, your early retirements. But thank you so much for the time that you served on this board.
Well, I will miss you. I truly appreciate you. Some of our conversations outside of this really touched my spirit a number of times. So thank you for being who you are.
No comments. Ms. Barton.
Thank you all for your very, very kind words. I'm a crier. So crazy. But it's interesting how I have grandchildren, two little girls that I really want to have the opportunity to be able to go to their schools like once a month. But I have a new assignment in addition to Southside Community Law Center. We've started a supervised visitation center, family empowerment center. And so, and then there's another component to Southside. With all the catastrophes that we've had around the state, one of our jobs now is to go to those sites to make sure that people have accurate knowledge so that they're able to avoid the scams and whatnot, making sure that they know how to determine if a contractor is licensed or unlicensed, that kind of thing. So that's part of what we're going to be doing.
So you're not retiring?
Yeah, no, we're not retired. We just have another assignment. Yeah. But it's been wonderful being here. Really, I mean, I've had a blast. I've had a blast. I mean, there have been some people that I guess sit in the audience that have just made life more enjoyable. Thank you all.
This time, all those in favor of the resolution? Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Again, we have for you a mug. Enjoy your non-retirement retirements.
Yes. love those.
At this time, now we recognize, Mr. Brian Smith has served his full term, 6 years. I'd like to recognize Mr. Richard Herring for any comments on Mr. Smith.
Last time. Brian, you and I served on the board for a good bit of time together. We kind of alternated being chair and vice chair for a few years. I probably got to talk to you more than any other board member just before and after board meetings. Some things you may or may not know about Mr. Smith. After he got his master's degree, he went off to John Marshall Law School. And so was in Georgia. And while he was there, he did some things. These are his stories to tell, really, but he did some things working with youth to make sure that they succeeded academically and socially. He had a skirmish or two in the public ethics arena. Again, interesting stories, but his to tell. Although I think it was great fodder for coming here in a very different setting, and you brought some knowledge, skills, and expertise that early on this board really needed because of those experiences. You all know that anytime you see him walking down the hall or in breaks, whatever, he's on his phone texting, he's on his tablet, he's on his computer. His job title is actually Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and University Ombudsman, which sounds to me like 2 jobs, maybe 3. So it took me a while to realize that he was never not at work. When he was here before a board meeting, after a board meeting, if we took a break for snacks or for dinner or whatever, he was working. When I first met him, he had I don't believe a gray hair in your head. I'm starting to see the effects of those 3 jobs. But what to me is the most compelling thing, and this is something that I'm assuming a lot of people don't know, is when he got hired, back to FAMU, because he'd gotten his master's degree here. So after he went to law school, got hired back here. He was actually hired as the anti-hazing chief. And hazing, of course, we know is a problem for universities around the country. And not only was he profoundly successful in that job, but now FAMU is recognized as a leader in the area of anti-hazing and as a some place that other universities can go to gain knowledge and skills, and they work at actually consulting with other universities in the area of anti-hazing. And so I think Mr. Smith, like Ms. Barr, like Ms. Blank, a thing that unites all of them is this genuine care and concern for young people. A lot of what I see driving all 3 of you and your careers is this concern for young people and a commitment toward helping people succeed. And I think that's why you have been so profoundly effective and meaningful on this board, is because this board is about public trust and making sure that government can succeed in the public's eye. And that's the strength and the love and the passion that you brought to this board from the other parts of your life. So, Mr. Smith, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
I hope I see you again.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Reed.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, no, it has truly been a pleasure working with you, Brian. And as you came in at chair in an odd time, to say the least. We had just finished up with Richard, who had served for many years. And, you know, and he was term limited, you were thrown in, kind of taken over. We were, I think, being sued at the time. We were looking for a new ethics officer. And then if that wasn't enough, COVID hits. So you steered the ship during one of the most challenging times, where just when it rained, it poured, and then it rained some more. And you always did it like you didn't get stressed. You were just always easy to work with and a pleasure to be with. The anti-hazing, I wish you could have taken some of that and applied it to some of the public comments we get. And address some of your skills there. But I've never been a fan of term limits really in any area. And it's for reasons just like this, you lose good people. So hopefully we'll be seeing you again in the near future. And it's been a pleasure.
Mr. Chair?
Sir.
And Brian, I remember it might have been the first meeting, and me, and John were on the phone. And I was talking to John, and I was asking him about the attorney, and I asked him, I said, so why is she reporting to you instead of reporting to me? And I think at that point, Brian was going, oh my God, what do I have here? Is he how hungry or what? I scared him for a minute. And now he learned that I was just being direct and trying to understand. But as John said, that was really a very challenging point when he became chair and when I came in, and there was a lot going on with the previous ethics officer and investigations that were on hold and moving our office and COVID and on and on. And it really was a delicate time. We were not favorites among the city commission or the mayor. And we just needed to kind of reestablish ourselves. And, and I was learning the job on the job. So I appreciated the way you steered the ship. I appreciate the way you approached every meeting. It was behind the scene, take no prisoners, but very smooth, very professional, very on point. One of the things I like about Brian is that he never showed a lot of emotion. You just have to hear what he's saying, because he says what he means, and you don't see any partiality. I think you examine every issue and make your decisions and make your comments based on whatever the issue is, and it's not such a thing as sides, and we need more people like that who don't have a side except for the right side, and that's what I see in Brian. As a fellow FAMUan, I'm very proud of you and the work you've done, and I owe your president that in those exact words. But I appreciate how you helped me get off to a good start. That was a very important year. And in February, it'll be 3 years, I'm still here. So thank you. And thank you for the way you served this board, your experience, your attitude, your character, your composure. But if I describe you in one word or phrase, it would be straight shooter. And I appreciate that. Mr. Chair.
Sir.
Resolution. Whereas the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board was created by a charter amendment on November 4, 2014 by a vote of 66.76%, that percent hasn't changed, of the ballots cast by the electors of the City of Tallahassee. And whereas the aforementioned charter amendment inter alia provided for the adoption of municipal ethics code, defined the composition of the ethics board, and established the processes by which the independent ethics board shall be filled. And whereas the city charter provides for the president of Florida A&M Mechanical University to appoint one member of the Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board. And whereas Dr. Larry Robertson, president of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, appointed Brian Smith Habit, the director of the university's anti-hazing initiative and special assistant to the administration, to represent the university on the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board. And whereas Brian Smith holds a law degree from John Marshall Law School and a master's degree in public management from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. And whereas Brian F. Smith attended his first meeting as a member of the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board on January 17, 2017. And whereas Brian F. Smith has served on the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board with distinction, holding the positions of chair and vice chair during his tenure. And whereas Brian F. Smith assumed a leadership role in drafting a new municipal ethics code, which was subsequently adopted by the Tallahassee City Commission, as well as administrative procedures intended to protect due process rights. And whereas Brian F. Smith's unwavering commitment, willingness, and ability to understand and respond to the concerns of the people of Tallahassee has made a substantial contribution to the betterment of the City of Tallahassee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board thanks Brian F. Smith for his years of work for and dedication to the Independent Ethics Board and wishes him every success in his future endeavors. Mr. Chair, this requires a vote.
A motion to accept the resolution. So moved. Mr. Payne moves, Ms. Costa seconds. Mr. Smith, you are the epitome of a public servant. When I came on the board about, 3 years now, you and Mr. Herring were in the process of doing a pretty big overhaul of our ordinance here in the city. Those were long meetings, 3 hours each. We had dinner in between. You guys who came here late, you guys are lucky.
Yes.
And we got a lot done through that process. And that helped us get us to where we are now. Those changes to the ordinance, the recommendations we made, helped us get us in the right footing. And then you got elected chair. It was your time to be the, steer the ship. And that's when the tide kind of shifted a little bit. The clouds picked up. We went through some interesting times. The largest turnout we had to come to our meetings was never to say how good of a job we were doing. It was one of the first meetings you had. It was the public came out to criticize one of the choices we made. And through that process, a long meeting we had, you were calm, cool, and collected. You helped us make the right choice, get us back on path. And they've always, the term captain has been used many times, and you have been a captain for this board. When I had the fortune of being elected chair, I was lucky to have you as vice chair during my term. Calming voice, calming approach, but always firm on what this board was meant to do. And we reviewed complaints. You made it clear what the issues were, what our job was in those complaints, and how to do our job. And you always had that touch of dealing with the public as well, how to disarm the public in difficult times to allow discussion to take place in a calm manner. As I said, as Mr. Reed said, it's unfortunate for the term limits because your presence will be missed. Thank you again for the time you've dedicated to this board. You gave all you had to this board, and we appreciate it, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, a few words.
Of course.
In our culture, I can only talk about our culture, but in our culture, when we come across people like Brian Smith, we say, you were raised right. And it's been a pleasure knowing you. I'm familiar with some of the things that you do at Florida A&M, the trips that you got to take. Didn't you go to Europe or
Yes,
something
I
like
did.
that for free? As a chaperone.
Yeah.
But-
Louis Vuitton.
Is that what it was?
Yes,
Okay.
it just wasn't just anything.
Okay, yeah. And so, that's really important for our culture, because unfortunately, there are a number of young people that don't get to see enough positive in their lives on a daily basis. But some of them are fortunate enough to be able to obtain a higher education, be it TCC, Florida State, or Florida A&M. And it's just wonderful that they get to see people like Brian Smith. That's so important, and so all the best to whatever else that you're going to be doing on this journey. Truly enjoyed knowing you. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to get to be, hey, like I said, we're better be family even more.
I consider you auntie, so I really appreciate all your words. I guess my ethics board time, I guess it may be coming to an end. As Mr. Herring mentioned earlier, I was on the ethics board in DeKalb County, Georgia, Metro Atlanta for about 9 years, from 2004 to 2013 when I came down here. And I thought that was over then. As a matter of fact, a case followed me down here. Someone forged, I was the chair at that time. Someone forged my name on an advisory opinion so it could get a $1 million deal. They were, you know, when the economy tanked and foreclosures were abound, people were getting federal dollars to fix up foreclosures to sell. So this person was on a board. I was serving on another board within the county, but I don't know, some kind of way he got it. So I said it followed me because the news stations from Atlanta actually came down and interviewed me at Cascades Park. So I was thinking my time with ethics was over until and again, I came down here for after the hazing death at FAMU to try to get us back in compliance. We were facing lawsuits and everything then. So you mentioned those positions. I didn't come down to be an associate vice president or the ombudsman. Just kind of happened to, oh, we heard you used to mediate. So how do you think about being the ombudsman? You know, increase in pay, sure. So and it came up, and I guess I've been blessed. All my educational pursuits, I kind of got to combine here at FAMU. Political science, done adjunct classes, then public management, doing what I was doing, and then the legal aspects. You know, it's just been a great ride here in Tallahassee. Met great people, and then when I got asked to be on the ethics board, I was like, great. And when I came in, you know, everyone was welcoming. Lucy, I was the first person I had to deal with, and I appreciate you. I'm slow sometimes getting documents back, especially that financial disclosure. I'm probably one of the last ones in the state every year. So I thank you for your kind push to have me get it in. The board was interesting in those times. You know, we had some characters who would be in the gallery. And a lot of them made a lot of good, you know, a lot of sense, and that helped change the dynamic of what we had as far as our documents. And I was proud to be a part of that. I learned a lot from a lot of you all past boards. Mr. Herring, just, you know, the consummate professional, the passion from individuals like Mr. Payne and the commission. You know, it's just been great. If you're in the legal realm and then you wind up somewhere else, sometimes you miss just even the legalese. You miss that, right? And you would come in, and I got to see, you know, great legal writing from John and others with just the analysis when we would be discussing things. You know, you miss that when you're in academia, right? So this board was a, you know, monthly refresher. You know, I got to really experience that. I learned a lot about Tallahassee through the board, some good, some bad. You know, I'm a little disappointed Mr. Sims not here on my last meeting. Come back, sit next to him. I might give a passionate spiel myself from again, it was a pleasure. And it went, you know, that time period when we talked about COVID and we had the transition with ethics officer and everything else. We were trying to get documents passed. That same time frame, I'm an only child, so talking about being raised right. My mother got ill, so I also had to take on caretaker duties, and she subsequently passed away in that same time period. So that was rough, but this board, a lot of you all, a call here, just a stop in the hallway, encouragement, things of that nature really meant a lot to me. So it was bigger than just the business of the board. So I really appreciate all of you all for that. And I thank you. I will miss being here. I think I may chime in every now and then. And back to that, you talking about your grandchildren. You know, parents are always proud. She would pick my daughter up from school every day, and then she knew the schedule, so they would get on and watch the board meeting together. So you know, all this now, you know, it's come to an end. So I sometimes could be a crier too. So hence me getting the paper when I was thinking about that earlier. So again, I thank you all for all you did for me, and thank you. Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Mr. Smith, your resolution, right?
Thank you.
Shall we open this? Flag. With this time, 2017, it says, in recognition of your selfless service and leadership as a member of the Independent Ethics Board, 2017 to 2022.
Thank you so much.
That's what you get when you serve the whole.
You say you can trade in the vote. Yeah.
All right, we said goodbyes. Mr. Reed, and your mug as well.
Connection up there.
Okay. So the part of the year I don't like all that much is the election, because I guess I have to run the election. So I know if I've learned and made mistakes in the past, I always like to ask the chair and the vice chair if they have an intention of running again, and then we open the floor for motions and nominations. So our chair is staying, our vice chair is unfortunately term limited out. So the chair, I don't know if you have any interest in staying before we move forward.
I'll be willing to serve another term if the board will have me. So it's up to you guys if you want to nominate me again for chair.
Okay, and then for vice chair, we will just have to just do nominations. So I guess at this point, we'll do chair. Is there any nomination for chair of the ethics board?
I'll nominate Mr. Ray.
Motion by Mr. Payne, second by Ms. Flank. Any other nominations? I think we just do it where we just throw them all together and just vote. So anybody else? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Unanimously, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you again.
And then, do you want me to continue or do you want to, continue? Okay, I'll continue. Do we have any motions for, vice chair?
I do, I nominate Ernie Payne for vice chair.
Okay. Okay. Motion for Ernie Payne. Are there any other motions or nominations?
Throw my hat in the ring for vice chair.
Okay, okay. Ms. Costa, sweet Mr. Payne. Ms. Costa, okay. Anybody else? I guess everybody else is leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's the process of elimination, yeah. So, okay, so, I guess we'll do,
Do a ballot or?
here, do we do, I guess we could do it whatever the board prefers. We could do a, or we could do just a voice vote, I guess, if we want. Is that okay? Is everybody comfortable with that? You want to do paper?
Let's do ballot.
Do ballot? Okay, okay, let's do, ballot. If you get, everybody can just, we have paper?
Right on our.
Yeah, just take the agenda item number 10 paper. It's mostly empty. You can just write on there and fold it. It's, I'm passing it to you. Yes. Facilitate.
You could have directed me to do it. I would have done it.
Well, I might have you count. You really want me to see it, okay? All right. All right.
Go right in the big. Okay, so you can verify.
One real small handwriting, but I think I can make it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so the majority vote goes to Ms. Costa. Congratulations. Thank you, thank you. Okay, and then I'll hand the gavel back. Figuratively speaking.
Yes. And we'll move on to,
Your homework.
oh, the homework. Everybody do the homework?
Did everybody read? Do I need to bring the,
It's done.
did everybody watch the documentary, All the Queen's Horses? And, you know, there are various reasons. We're actually going to present this to the city commission as part of their training. The message that I started today is that, you know, in my role, I receive complaints and I do training, but they're the people that work every day. They see what goes in within the city, right or wrong. It's much their responsibility as it is the ethics board to ensure that members, that the city of Tallahassee maintains public trust through ethical behavior. And I even told them, because, and it's true, I've talked to people and I've had people say to me, when I started so many years ago, I learned quickly to look the other way. And my message to them was, you can't afford to look the other way. If you remember in that movie, how everybody reacted and how they tarnished the mayor or chair council, whatever it was, him and everybody else, even though they legitimately didn't know what was going on. And my point was, you're protecting your own job. You're protecting your own reputation when you see something and say something. Whether it's addressing it internally with the supervisor, with that person, or to us. They have a responsibility to make sure that the proper processes are in place to keep things in check and that people don't take advantage of the public. You know, and I'm going to emphasize public service. So, you know, generally, you know, that's one of the bigger takeaways I had from it. And I wanted to just get your thoughts on it and any message that you thought I should take for it as we.
I think this goes along as far as people willing to speak up if they know they're going to be heard, not afraid. And that's, I think we've seen a big change in the city, this city's particular, that people feel they're going to be heard. There's issues they see. This commission, the city commission may not agree on a lot, but they do agree on ethics being an important factor on how to maintain the trust of the citizens. So it's through your training, I think people realizing that everybody plays a role. Everybody can be a leader in their spot when they uphold and maintain the ethics of the city. So I think we've come a long way. And we're continuing to improve and to get better every time. But that movie kind of shows that it can happen. It can keep on building up, and you just look the other way, it gets worse and worse. I think that we've, as a commission, the Ethics Commission has really set a message that we're here to listen. We're here. You will be heard, and we will ensure that your voice is carried out. So I think that's enough for me as far as the main message of that is that people will not speak up if they're not going, they feel it's going to be for naught. They feel there's exposing themselves to more, the danger to be fired.
I appreciate the assignment. Really an interesting, well-made documentary. One of the things that I took away from it is the controls that are in place on the accounting side and the auditing side, which I don't always fully understand. Those are all still subject to human error and exploitation. So if you have a person in a position of trust who is telling you, here's all the controls that we have, that person also knows all the vulnerabilities of what are in those controls. And so it's not It's not a bad thing to make sure there's a check on that person. You have a office manager or someone who has a lot of authority over accounting and bank statements, that that person be held to account. Or that you make sure that your board is aware of the latest and greatest are in controls, and make sure that you're abiding by them, because it takes a human to see where the holes are in those things. So one of the items in the movie was they had an outside accounting firm come in and do the audit. Well, that was the same accounting firm that they were using to do their day-to-day. And so you weren't getting the independence of that outside audit. So you look at that and you go, of course you wouldn't use that firm for that audit, of course not. But if you don't have board members who know that that's part of their job, is to make sure that those things are being done correctly, that's a missed opportunity for the board. It's a missed opportunity for the entity that they control. So I thought it was a really, really well done, great illustration of how those things can go wrong if you have someone who has a lot of knowledge about the inner workings of those things.
And there was no sign of her being a bad person before that happened. Because sometimes what we hear is we're good people, and that was just a bad apple, and good apples can go bad. And yes.
And also remind me, I remember somebody told me who works in the SBA, they're required to take 2 weeks of vacation, from their job. And during that time, they cannot have access to their email. They have to have access, grant access to somebody else. You see example of why that is beneficial. You had to just one person, when she was gone, just what is going on here? That's a thing too. It just takes one person to unravel major corruption. That's something I think through your training, you identify people that is, you have, no matter what role you have in the city, you play an important role in maintaining the trust of the public.
And then I also think it goes back to what someone said earlier, is that people want to make sure that they're heard and not, there's no retaliation or, those kinds of things. Because at one point, I was almost thinking the mayor was in cahoots. I was really thinking that that's where we were going to go and that it wasn't going to get anywhere. And so in watching it, oh, wow, I was just enthralled with this, because she has a lot more nerve than I do. I'm considered bold. But yeah, so that was so important too, because I could just imagine, and she even shared the lady that discovered everything, it was just so nerve-wracking for her, and so it's just very, very stressful, but she still was able to maintain her composure until everything was completely proven true, And then the other thing is that that happened a while ago, and yet and still, what happened here in the city of Tallahassee happened, so it's just that it's always good to have as much in place as you possibly can, even though something may get through, but in the end, they'll get what they deserve as well, so.
More comments? That was good assignment there.
Thank you.
That'd be great.
And I
Incorporate that in the.
Yeah, I will all next year. I forgot one thing in my general update. When I was in Montreal, John did the training for me. And he was sucking up because he pulled my picture up and said that handsome guy on the screen. And I wasn't present, so he did that. And then I snuck in on him on my phone and watched the last 30 minutes of it and let him know eventually. But I appreciate you taking care of that for me.
No, it's good. I tried not to do too good of a job. I didn't want to go back and continue. So, but yeah, it was a good group. We went. I told them we'd be out early. We went the full 2 hours. So they loved me. So.
Any public comments on agenda items?
None.
Members have any directives for future agenda? Members left to give future directives. So at that moment, Mr. Smith moves and Ms. Spars seconds that we adjourn. Thank you all for your time.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.